Hi, Mary Rafferty here, and today I want to talk to you about a question that came up yesterday in a seminar I was delivering to a team of managers on the theme of dealing with conflict in the team. And the question was about dealing with repeated instances of behavior. So the situation is a manager, and she has a member of her team who has a tendency to get into a rage or get into an angry outburst of behavior. Not very often, but when it does happen, it tends to have quite a lot of fallout on other members of the team, whoever is kind of on the receiving end of that particular outburst. And people find it very difficult, very undermining. And so she wanted to address this. Now, she has talked to this team member in the past when something would happen. She's given her feedback about it. They've had a conversation, and usually things have been fine for the next period, and then it would happen again. And the problem is it started to happen more recently in the last 12 months. So new year ahead, she wanted to sit down and have a conversation about putting a plan in place around the next 12 months so that this behavior would no longer be occurring. So here are three things I said that you might think about in planning and having this conversation. The first of these is when you have a situation where you've got a behavior that doesn't just happen once, but it starts to happen again and again, then it's time to reach for the CPR approach. And CPR is an acronym coined by the authors of the Crucial Conversations and Crucial Accountability series of books. And in CPR, the C stands for content. So the first time something happens, this particular situation, the staff member gets angry, has an outburst, and there's fallout for the people on the team. You address the situation, give the feedback, etc. And so you focus on the event, what happened, what was said. But if a situation starts to happen again and again, it's time now to move on to the P of CPR, which stands for pattern. This is about talking now to the person about a pattern of behavior that started to arise. So you're no longer focusing on one instance. You're now talking about the fact that there are repeated instances of this particular behavior, the repeated impact that this is having on whoever's involved. And this is the approach I suggested yesterday that she take in this conversation with the staff member. But the R in CPR stands for relationship, and that's where we're no longer looking at the content. We're no longer even talking about the pattern. You're now actually saying that you have a concern about that person's ability or willingness to commit to whatever it is you're asking them to do in that aspect of the work, and that's you having to constantly harangue them and nag them about it is having an impact on the working relationship and on the trust you have in that person. So the second point I made to her was that in this conversation, it's quite likely that the staff member might get into a defending and talking about, well, that didn't happen then, and well, it wasn't that, and well, there were other reasons and other people. And it's very easy to get drawn back into a kind of a he said, she said conversation about it. So my suggestion, if that happens, is to say something along the lines of the following. Look, I appreciate there have been other factors involved in these situations in the past, but I don't really want to get into that today. Instead, I want to focus on the fact that there has been a pattern of behaviors and that this pattern has become more frequent, and look at what can we do in terms of a plan and how can I support you to ensure that these reactions and this way of you responding to these kinds of situations stops happening in the future. The third point I made to her is, that your approach and your kind of mindset is one of kindness, supportiveness, you wanting to help on the one hand, but also setting a clear boundary on the other hand. So, it's again something like, I appreciate that the customers can be difficult, or I appreciate that the deadlines can be really tight and it's really stressful, and I can see how this can happen, and that you you're really passionate about things and you want them to go right, and then you get really frustrated. I get all that. I suppose the point I'm trying to make today is, and what I want to help you look at is, how can we ensure that whatever it is happens for you internally, and how you're feeling, and whatever supports you need around that, that the behaviors, these behaviors that have such a strong impact on others around you, and it just makes the whole atmosphere unpleasant, these behaviors are no longer occurring, and that you're finding a better way to interact when these kind of situations come up for you. So again, it's just that caring, concerned, but also there's a firm red line there that you're setting around, this can no longer happen. So just to summarize those three things, thinking about when a situation starts to happen again and again, talking about the pattern rather than keep readdressing each particular situation in its own merits. Secondly, that you don't get drawn back into the argument over didn't it happen. You just keep a focus on we're trying to change the pattern in the future. And thirdly, that caring and kind support, but that also sets a really clear boundary around what it is, and what sort of behaviors are acceptable, or what sort of behaviors are going to foster a positive atmosphere in the team, and what sort of behaviors are just not helpful at all, and that you don't want to see happening on the team. So if you have a situation you'd like some help with, please drop me an email, mary@consensusmediation.ie, or check out our Facebook page at Consensus Mediation Coaching, and you can message me from there, and please like our Facebook page. Thanks for watching.